What's up, Matt?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey.
So I want to talk about two things real quick. One being the Montgomery signing, obviously. So my thing was, if you look at the league, how many teams is Jamaal Williams going to start on in the NFL right now?
I'd have to look at all the depth charts. I couldn't tell you.
But probably not very many. Now, if you look at Montgomery, that teams that he's going to start for is going to be significantly higher than Jamaal Williams, in my opinion. And so at that point, when you're looking at our depth chart, we now currently have two running back ones on our roster.
Interesting way to look at it. My gut tells me you're right. This is one of those questions that sometimes we get asked, and I'm like, well, I hadn't given that any thought. But, yeah, I mean.
But isn't that just the way the league is, though? I mean, the league has gone to more running back by committee, having two number ones, as you put it. I think that's kind of what they had last year, except that DeAndre Swift wasn't healthy enough to really be that other number one. If DeAndre Swift was healthier, Jamaal Williams would not have had the year he had.
No, yeah, exactly. And everyone keeps talking about how Jamaal, like his 17 touchdowns, which obviously was amazing. It was electric to watch. But to think that he was going to come into this season and do it again is just kind of ridiculous, because how often do running backs constantly be at the top of, like, year after year, they scored the most touchdowns. It's not a very common thing, and especially with someone of Jamaal Williams, because he's the same person that he was in Green Bay. Like, he was always behind Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had the bigger runs, the more electric runs, and Jamaal was just kind of the short yardage back. And to think that Montgomery won't come in here and be a better version of Jamaal Williams is just kind of wild to think that people believe that.
Jamaal had a nose for the end zone. It's a valuable skill set. He thrived in Detroit last year. I think Montgomery will see a significant production jump in this season running behind this offensive line.
Yeah, I think it will too. And I think a lot of the fans that might be, and listeners that are upset that they let Jamaal go or they want to downplay what Montgomery is, I'm guessing that maybe a good percentage of those were fantasy football owners that had Jamaal Williams on their team. And they've seen what he can do for their teams.
Or they had David Montgomery on their team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you had David, right. Well, yeah, right. I had Montgomery, guys. He sucked. He was terrible. Oh, was he? Because I'm guessing you're not going to sing that same tune this coming season.
I want to think about this, too. If you're David Montgomery, running back, Chicago Bears, last few years, and you're sitting there with your agent, and the agent says, here are the teams that have offered you contracts. When the Detroit Lions come up as a possible destination, as a running back, would you say, yes, that's the offensive line I want to run behind? I would imagine that this is 100% in play with every running back when they're considering where they're going to play.
Yeah, I would think that this would be absolutely an attraction. And it's something I think that I wish we brought this up earlier, Doug, because I think that's a brilliant comment. I'll hand it to you.
Yeah?
Yeah. Absolutely. How many other teams in the league would rank higher than the Lions when it comes to free agent running back deciding where
Philly probably would. I mean, you could name a couple, but there's how many of them are looking for a running back?
Yeah, there aren't many, I guess that was my point. I mean, there's maybe less than a handful.
And that's why stats can be misleading, guys. I mean, yeah, Montgomery maybe had some similar per yardage stats as Jamaal Williams, but that offensive line who's running behind was not good. I mean, David Montgomery is just a better running back than Jamaal Williams, skill set for skill set. And if you want to bring up fantasy football, I guarantee you David Montgomery gets drafted ahead of Jamaal Williams in fantasy next year because of this offensive line, his skill set. His projections are going to be pretty damn good.
Well, who was drafted ahead of whom last year?
Well, I think everyone thought DeAndre Swift was going to be the number one guy.
Well, no, I know. I'm just saying I had a hard time thinking that anybody would have taken Jamaal Williams over David Montgomery going into last season. So, it was just kind of happenstance. I give Jamaal Williams all the credit in the world. That's a hell of a season. I doubt he'll duplicate it.
Without spectacular stats, David Montgomery was voted by NFL players one of the top 100 players in the NFL going into last year. Remember that list that comes out every year, voted on by the players? He checked in at number 98 or 97. I can't remember which it is, but he was one of the top 100 players in the league. Does he have spectacular stats? No. What does that tell you about the respect for him? What does that tell you about the skill set?